We were discussing about the different guidelines for selecting and practice of teaching learning methods. The next principle is the method should be based on sound psychological principles. So whenever a learning activity or a teaching activity is selected, we should consider the various psychological principles that are involved in that particular activity. The next guideline says methods should be used creatively. So a talented teacher can create new teaching methods. The teacher can also arouse interest among the students through most effective and efficient combination of existing teaching methods. Like every day if the teacher comes and starts lecturing, the students may get bored, and instead if the teacher combines different methods of teaching like lecture, demonstration, an activity like a quiz or a role play, it will arouse interest within the students and it will make the teaching activity more effective. The method should suit to the teacher's style. സോ ഓരോ ടീച്ചർക്കും അവരുടേതായ പഠിപ്പിക്കുന്ന സ്റ്റൈൽ ഉണ്ടാവും. അതിനോട് യോജിച്ച ഒരു മെത്തേഡ് ഓഫ് ടീച്ചിങ് വേണം യൂസപ്പ് ചെയ്യാനായിട്ട്. The teacher has to rely on his or her strength or assets while selecting the methods. So while selecting the method, the teacher should consider his or her strengths. Like ഒരു ടീച്ചർ ചിലപ്പോൾ നല്ലപോലെ പാട്ട് പാടുന്ന ആളാവാം. So whenever the teaching activity is selected, if the teacher introduce and the lesson as a mnemonic song, ഒരു കുഞ്ഞി പാട്ടിൻ്റെ രൂപത്തിൽ ഒരു കഥ പോലെ അത് പറയുകയാണെങ്കിൽ sometimes the students may be interested and they may catch up the matter very easily. So such creative styles can be used up according to the strength as well as the assets of the teacher. Selection should consider the available resources. So whenever a teaching activity is being selected, the teacher should consider the available resources. For example, if a teacher is selecting simulation as the teaching method, she should ensure that the simulators or the practice dummies are available within the college so that this particular method can be used up. The method should address the different challenges like maintaining the quality of the teaching learning, reducing the cost of instruction, responding to the technological developments in communication and information technology. So all this should be considered while selecting the teaching method. It should maintain the quality of teaching activity, it should be cost effective, and it should be responding to the various technological developments. Like ഇപ്പോൾ കുറേ അഡ്വാൻസ്ഡ് ആയിട്ടുള്ള ടെക്നോളജിക്കൽ ഡെവലപ്മെൻറ്റ്സ് ഉണ്ട്. നമുക്ക് മൂഡിൽ പ്ലാറ്റ്ഫോം ആവാം, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു ഗൂഗിൾ ക്ലാസ് റൂം ആവാം. So whenever this technological developments are available with us, the teacher should consider all this while selecting a teaching learning activity. So these were the different guidelines. We'll see one by one. Methods should be suited to the objectives and the content of the subject matter. Method should suit to the level of the students. Method should be based on sound psychological principles. Method should be used creatively. Method should suit to the teacher's style. Teacher has to rely on his or her strength or assets while selecting the methods. Selection should consider the available resources, and the method should address the challenges like maintaining the quality of teaching and learning, reducing the cost of instruction, responding to the technological developments. So these were the guidelines. Now let's see the first teaching learning method, which is a lecture method. So all of you are well aware about this particular method. You have experienced this all throughout your learning years. So as you all know, this is the oldest method of teaching. The term lecture is derived from a Latin word which says lecture, or which means read aloud. So lecture ന്റെ അർത്ഥം read aloud എന്നാണ്. It is still continues as the most preferred teaching method by many of the teachers. Lecture is not simply a one-way transmission of information. In addition to listening and writing notes, effective lecturing also allows the students to interact with the teacher. So traditionally, ഇറ്റ് വാസ് കൺസിഡേർഡ് ആസ് എ വൺ വേ കമ്മ്യൂണിക്കേഷൻ. ഒരാൾ ഇങ്ങനെ കുറേ എന്ന് പറയുന്നതായിരുന്നു ലെക്ചർ എന്നാണ് പണ്ടത്തെ കൺസെപ്റ്റ്. ദ ടൈം ഹാസ് ഗോൺ. Now students have equal role in the lecturing method. They can interact with the teacher, they can clarify their doubts, they can ask questions, and such interactive sessions make lecture a good method of teaching. Coming to the official definition of lecture, lecture is defined as a teaching activity whereby the teacher presents the contents in a comprehensible manner by explaining the facts, the principles and the relationships, during which the teacher is expected to elicit student participation by employing appropriate techniques. So this is the official definition of lecture. Onnuda kaanam, it is a teaching activity. Ee teaching activity il teacher endha cheya, the teacher presents the contents in a comprehensible manner engane by explaining the facts, the principles and relationships, and the teacher also elicits student participation by employing appropriate techniques. Coming to the various purposes of lectures, the first purpose is to provide structured knowledge. So providing structured knowledge by integrating and synthesizing knowledge from different sources is the prime function of lecture. So കുറേ ഒരു ടോപ്പിക്കിനെ കുറിച്ചുള്ള നോളജ് പല സ്ഥലങ്ങളിൽ നിന്ന് ഇൻ്റഗ്രേറ്റ് ചെയ്ത് അതിനെ ഒന്ന് സ്ട്രക്ചർ ചെയ്ത് ഓർഗനൈസ് ചെയ്ത് പഠിപ്പിക്കുകയാണ് ലെക്ചറിൻ്റെ ആദ്യത്തെ പർപ്പസ്, ടു പ്രൊവൈഡ് സ്ട്രക്ചേർഡ് നോളജ്. ദ സെക്കൻഡ് പർപ്പസ് ഇസ് ടു മോട്ടിവേറ്റ് ആൻഡ് ഗൈഡ് ഇൻ ഹണ്ടിങ് നോളജ്. So an efficient teacher, by means of electrifying lecture, motivates the students to collect more information and guides them properly in collecting relevant information by giving them adequate references. So as you all know, to a 1 hour lecture, the teacher can't explain everything that is related to a particular concept. So if the teacher inspires the students or electrifies the students, they will be motivated in order to learn further about the topic, in order to gain more knowledge about that particular topic. The next purpose is to arouse students' interest in a subject. So the teacher can orient the students to a subject by explaining the needs for studying it, ways of learning, a revision, mode of writing exams, etc. And once the students understand the need and way of learning a subject, they will be naturally motivated to it. So while teaching a subject, the teacher can arouse the interest of the students in that particular subject by explaining various things like why do we want to learn it, എന്തുകൊണ്ടാണ് ഇത് പഠിക്കേണ്ടത്, ഇത് എങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ പഠിക്കാം, എങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയാണ് ഇത് ഉപകാരപ്രദമാകുക, എങ്ങനെയൊക്കെയാണ് എക്സാമിന് ഇതിനെ പ്രസൻറ്റ് ചെയ്യാൻ പറ്റുക, ഇത്രയും കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ മനസ്സിലായിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ കുട്ടികൾ തന്നെത്താനെ motivated ആവും in order to learn that particular subject. The next purpose is to introduce the students to new areas of learning. So lecture method will help the teacher to introduce new areas of learning to the students before resorting to the most suitable method. So ഒരു പുതിയ ടോപ്പിക്കിനെ ഇൻട്രൊഡ്യൂസ് ചെയ്യുമ്പോൾ ആ ഇൻട്രൊഡക്ഷൻ കൊടുക്കാനായിട്ട് ഏറ്റവും നല്ല മെത്തേഡ് ഓഫ് ടീച്ചിങ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ലെക്ചറാണ്. ആ ഒരു ഇൻട്രൊഡക്ഷൻ പാർട്ടിന് ശേഷം മാത്രമായിരിക്കും ബാക്കിയുള്ള മെത്തേഡ് ഓഫ് ടീച്ചിങ് അഡോപ്റ്റ് ചെയ്യുക. To clarify difficult concepts. So the lecture method is highly suitable for clarifying concepts where the teacher can use enough illustrations and examples to clarify concepts. So മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ പ്രയാസമുള്ള ഒരു കൺസെപ്റ്റിനെ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യാനായിട്ടുള്ള ഏറ്റവും നല്ല മെത്തേഡ് ലെക്ചർ തന്നെയാണ്. To assist students in preparing for a discussion. To create a conducive environment for discussion, the teacher can provide a concrete idea to the students regarding the topic of discussion, the aim of discussion, etc. through lecture method. So discussion ആണ് ഒരു ക്ലാസ്സിൽ ടീച്ചിങ് ലേണിംഗ് മെത്തേഡായിട്ട് യൂസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതെങ്കിൽ ആ ഡിസ്കഷന് മുമ്പേ അത് എന്തൊക്കെയാണ് അതിൻ്റെ കൺസെപ്റ്റ്സ്, എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഇത് പ്രോഗ്രസ് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത് എന്ന് ഉറപ്പായിട്ടും പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുക്കണം. അങ്ങനെ പറഞ്ഞു കൊടുക്കാനായിട്ട് ഏറ്റവും നല്ല മെത്തേഡ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് ഒരു ലെക്ചറാണ്. To promote critical thinking. So even though the lecture method gives less emphasis on critical thinking as compared to other methods of teaching, a carefully designed and delivered lecture can challenge the students to think critically and analytically by modeling the thinking process